Hi everyone, excited to host Aleksandar Balicevac. He's CEO and co-founder of Bimify. Super excited to have you on my show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm also really excited.
So Alexander, can you walk us through three of the career highlights?
Three of the career highlights. Well, yeah, I would say if we start like 15 years ago, when I wanted to be a politician, and then change the path. So I went to the marketing world for a couple of years. I was thinking once I moved to Sweden from the Balkans, found it really interesting. Spent a couple of years there, and then realized this is too high level for me. I'm much more nerdy than that. So that's when I changed to go for engineering education, and ended up in the BIM world actually. So that would be like the second one, and the third one was once finishing my studies, I was evaluating if like the BIM world was the real thing for me because it's kind of inherited, you know. I'll dig deeper into that later. I was like, let's try something else just to see am I really passionate about the BIM world and buildings in general, or am I doing this because it's easy, you know, it's in the family. So I did my master thesis at Northvolt, which was like Europe's biggest startup back in the days, building battery manufacturing in the Nordic region. And then 6 months after that master thesis, I really realized, no, buildings, I'm really passionate about this. There is so much more to do there, and I want to be part of that change. So those, I would say, like career-wise, those three switches were probably the highlights to mention.
Got any mentor or senior who made a big impact in your life during this time?
Definitely. That's why I said it's inherited, because it's my father. And I think he initially helped me to understand how math is applied in the real world. So back in the days when I was looking what he's doing, he was he was when the first licenses of Revit were sold he was already he started developing on top of Revit different plugins to optimize the workflows. So back like the first thing when I I got in touch with the BIM world was him making the BIM content. You can do roof structures that are parameterized, and you know, as you change the size, everything is recalculated. So I think that's how everything started and how I got hooked. And then later on, I followed him through his journey, and you know, always asking for some kind of internship on anything. I just wanted to be a part of that story. So I would say he definitely made a big impact on my career, and he's also co-founder of Bimify. So definitely, that's the person to mention.
Yeah, that's a very unique background and like co-founder story. And so till date, what has been your biggest surprise building solutions in our industry?
I think the complexity, definitely, and especially in our industry. I mean, the number of stakeholders involved in each and every process is vast, but also the sensitivity of data. That's something that I definitely underestimated. Coming from the machine learning education and everything, I was thinking, oh, machine learning is going to solve a lot of stuff for us. But then you come to those 95% of accuracy, and you need to get to 100% because that's the only information that is actually valuable. I think definitely that was a big surprise for me.
Can you walk us through the early days of Bimify? What was the idea? How was your journey building the proof of concept?
Yeah, so how everything started was, as I said, working with my father, and he started, among other things, two consulting companies that are focused on BIM, consisting of both the BIM developers, but also architects and engineers who are BIM experts. So one of the services that was offered by one of these companies was digitalization of the existing buildings from either PDFs or old paper drawings that were scanned and delivered in image format or point cloud files for different purposes. And I mean, the whole idea for Bimify comes from actual experience. This team has digitized over 30 million square meters of different buildings manually. So that's how everything started. We were thinking, okay, there must be a way to optimize this process. And coming from the machine learning world already then in 2019, 2020, before AI became a buzz, I realized from what I actually studied for 2 years, there are so many off-the-shelf solutions we could use and train in our process. So that's how everything started. In the beginning, we were standing before like two alternatives of how to build Bimify. Should we build tools and, you know, use them in our own process, sell them as a subscription to other architects and engineers, people who understand BIM, or should we build a platform solution that anyone can use? And we're like, there's like over 95% of buildings are not yet digital, and you cannot only rely on architects. And we were thinking, okay, we know how to develop BIM products and platforms. We have the knowledge from digitalization. We know what challenges there are. So we're thinking we are the perfect team to actually build a platform solution that is going to help the industry to go digital. So that's how everything started. And then looking from the perspective of that ambition, we started forming the solution. And, what do you need to include? What do you need to support? And knowing that buildings are documented in different formats, either CADs, PDFs, legacy drawings, in the best case. In the worst case, they don't have any documentation. So we're thinking, okay, we need to be able to support the industry to go digital. We need to support all the formats. If a building owner with 90 buildings built from 1900 up to 2010 come to us, they should be able to get quality assured BIM models for the intended use. And then we started sketching a solution. Fresh from the university, I had a really high ambition, typical startup roadmap. 6 months, let's build a prototype, 3 months for the first customer, and then 3 months later, iterate and launch it. It actually took us a year and a half to crack the code on how to automate the stuff, because there was such a variety of input that we were getting, but not only the input, also the output. Because, the industry is not standardized yet. It's too early. It was too early for us to try to standardize the industry, say this is the kind of model we build, that's it, because then you're going to have many customers that will bounce off. So it was quite a complex solution, but it took us a year and a half to crack the code. And finally, we cracked the code and build a pipeline that automates whatever you put in. And of course, that pipeline is continuously improving. There are different levels of automation. CAD is the most automated, and the image and point cloud a little bit less. But the pipeline is very standardized, retrain all the time. So it's getting improved all the way through. So, and started like early days, we were thinking, should we build it in Revit, start over there and build a process around Revit, connect our platform there? But no, we were thinking you need to be independent, because today the Revit is more or less BIM in the format, but in 10, 15 years, we don't know if that's going to be Revit. As we see today, that's just one export of your BIM data that you can use in different software. So there was a lot of thinking on how to put everything in place, because as you probably know, coming from the industry, the process, you're going from A to B, from no BIM data to BIM data and BIM model, but all the steps that come in between, there is so much complexity in there. So yeah, that was it. A year and a half in, then we cracked the code, and then we threw all the everything that we built through a window, just picked out the small pieces that really worked, and put a completely new platform in place that is completely scalable and self-learning.
That's amazing. You mentioned about this important decision on not being on Revit and its own independent platform. What are other difficult choices you had to make? Like, could be focusing on geography, like business wise and technical wise.
Yeah, there was that as well. What we were really aware of from the beginning is like the complexity of standards and different geographical standard interpretation. Let's say, for example, LOD, level of detail. You have some kind of world standard, and you have the local country interpretations of that, and the country specific standards, and then you have every single architectural practice having their own interpretation that is accommodated for their own needs and how they do the projects. And that's just architects. Then you have the building owners that we also work with, who are interested in completely other different type of information than the architects. So we were thinking, if we start building this for Sweden, where we come from, we are going to get stuck. And once we are going to launch in the other countries, we would need to rebuild so much, and it's really hard building in accordance with one standard and assuming what's the best architecture to support the other standards in the other countries. So we were like, okay, let's build a very generic standard. And let's build something that's going to fit 90 to 95% of the needs of every single customer in every single market. And those 5 to 10%, let's also offer them as a custom service, or let them do the work. Because if you work with the AC, they know how to do that. If you work with owners, let's offer that as a service, but let's not build a platform that is completely accommodated to one specific country standard, because it's so easy to get stuck.
Maybe this is a great time to show us the experience, how the platform looks like.
Yeah. Before I jump into the platform, maybe it's good to give a broader overview, because what we were talking about right now is mostly automation, but there is so much more to Bimify. And also going back to the ambition to be that one-stop shop for anyone who wants to go digital. There are so many steps where you need to provide support. It's how to make a decision, what kind of model and content do you need based on based on the end use. So there is a portal on Bimify, I'm going to show you later, where there are pre-built model configurations for different purposes. So if you're about to do a refurbishment project, we got you. We have a starter package for that. If you're about to implement some space management system, you don't need a super duper model. You need a very simple model. We got you. There is a starter package for that. And then you can also customize everything there. Then you have the pricing. Also, we are not relying on consultants. Everything is standardized. So as you are choosing stuff, the price is updated. So it's very easy to budget, pitch the clients. So we are also look the heavy lifting, but also how we post-process the models is also very standardized. And then, of course, delivery and all the communication is done through the platform. So, as I said, like automated BIM modeling is where you save the most time, but people underestimate all of these small steps where you get stuck into the emails and maybe consultants that are on a sick leave. So you're waiting for that quote for 3 extra days, and it's day after day. It adds up in the end. And that's very important because modeling is always just a small part of a much larger process. Whether it's a reconstruction or renovation project, refurb project, modeling is just a small part of that. There's so much more work before and after that. So for us, it was really important to see that this small piece of the puzzle is very seamless from the very beginning when you start thinking, I need to go digital to actually going digital. So let me share my screen. So this is like our value proposition to our clients. We say effortless BIM modeling because you don't need to be an expert to be able actually to buy the right model just by knowing what you need it for. And of course, the pricing helps you to make decisions faster and speed up your projects. Then automation does the heavy lifting. And also ready to use results. The models are quality assured, but there is no, so it's not that we auto generate something and deliver something broken. It's quality assured to a semi-automated, very standardized process. So once you get the model from Bimify, you are actually ready to start the next step in your process. We say BIM made simple. So I mentioned previously, there are some standard model specifications that we built based on our experience and what situations our clients are usually within, whether it's for owners, CAFM system implementation or space management system implementation, or for the AEC conversion of concept design to BIM before you start developing the actual design, or capturing the actual state of the building from the scan to start the refurb projects. But once we onboard the clients here, if none of these models supports your workflow, then we analyze the workflows and build specifications that you support your specific workflow. And we've been working a lot on, a visual part of it, because talking about BIM, people can interpret that in a very different way. So for us, it was very important to visually support what we are saying that this model contains, usually with a sample model. We're going to see now also there is an LOD standard that is very easy to consume. There are no descriptions that can make a misunderstanding of how the stuff is interpreted. So let's see here, for example. So there is always like a 3D representation, visually how the object is going to look like, 2D representation, but also down to the parameter level. You can see exactly what parameters are going to be included or not. So if you have some custom requirements, it's easy to see, okay, I'm missing the industry parameters and classification in accordance with the, Norwegian standard. Then it's easy to add that to the form and say that you want that extra. Because many of the LOD standards we've seen are very descriptive, and it's really hard to understand. There's a lot of room for misunderstanding. The quoting part, where you can quote as many buildings as you want, you're not obliged to Bimify anything before you click on accept button and actually upload your files. And this is very helpful, especially when working with AAC, because projects usually start with this. Then 2 or 3 months later, the modeling is coming in place. And as you can see here, I'm just going to back shortly. So a couple of parameters that affect the price is what kind of model it is. Of course, higher level of detail, more post-processing effort on our side, more man hours. It's going to be more expensive. Then we have the building type. Different complexities also require different manual interaction in the end to fix the results. Then we have the input references. whether it's a CAD, image, point cloud. Now we are even adding other BIM formats. We've tested our pipeline and proven that it's much faster going from IFC to Revit using our process and automation than remodeling like a dead IFC, and also the same from the ArchiCAD. And then, of course, building size, because we are, as the rest of the industry, pricing everything per square meter. You can also add some details, number of levels, repetitive levels, and all of that affects the price. And then if you want us to make any exports, plan views, IFC for a CAFM system, whatever, you can order that as well. And if you have any custom requirements, you can easily post them on the platform. We are going to pick them up. Once you're ready to order, you just upload the files and the processing starts now. Like, since our aim is to build a large scale production for modelings and digitalization of the existing built environment. So what we usually say, we are not building a tool, we are building a factory. And we are also building tools that are used in that process. And the process looks like every manufacturing process. You have standardized steps, standardized production line, and then you have the machines in some steps, people in some steps, and the machines are getting better and better, and you are decreasing the effort required by people. So this is how every process starts. As you saw, I just configured the building here, how many levels, because this is from plan to BIM, scan to BIM. It's a slightly different process, but the pipeline, the major steps are the same. So I configure the building, and now I'm attaching the correct floor plan to the correct building level. There you go. We save that. So today we only automate architecture and structure, but we are about to get into the other disciplines. So everything is there. The process, as I said, the manufacturing line is in place. We just need the machines to put in there. Click on Bimify. This usually takes a couple of minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. And then you've got your model. So as you can see here from the perspective of architectural model, what's missing is stairs, vertical openings like shafts, elevators, roofs, but and maybe kitchens, which are usually needed. Otherwise, everything else is there. As you can see, we also are adding extra level of granularity. So we are not just placing the right, correctly categorized objects, but also for windows and doors, we know if it's a single, double, or what it is, and placing the correct object there. And very important to mention that this is like a real healthy BIM model where every single category is correctly categorized, correct types and everything. We are not putting any generic objects. And that's why I see is also a big difference compared to our tool, compared to many other tools that are just sold as the tools on the market that put a bunch of generic objects there. And you still need to do quite a lot of work to actually get to the final result with walls and all of these single objects here. You're going to see later, there is a possibility to use different templates and different content. So this generic model, if you just buy everything in accordance with our standard, it's a very clean model. We are not using any scrappy content and stripping down. We are building from bottom up. So you get a very clean model that you can easily add on. So this model, once finished, is maybe 25, 30 megabytes. It's very, very clean. And as I said, there are like every single architectural practice, they have their own standards, templates, and so on. So we have a possibility to configure clients' templates, and also just by adding different content on the platform, we can rebuild the same model in completely different standard and a much higher level of detail. So I'm just switching to the client's template here, and with different content, regenerating the same model. And as you can see, you're getting completely new models. It's that easy. Once you have the geometries and the correctly categorized content in place, adding extra information is much easier. And then the model is post-processed by our team to the final product. Once that's done and quality assured, we push the model back to you. It's delivered through our platform. All the feedback is handled through the platform. That's also speeding up the development time. If there is any feedback, if the client missed to order anything and realize they need more information, they just post that connected to the correct model, and the person who is responsible for processing this one is gonna pick that up. So no emails, no like chain of people until the feedback gets back and forth. So that's Bimify in a nutshell.
Alexander, man, this is an incredible product demo. great UI UX. Kudos to the whole effort. It's killed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to hear that, especially from people who are testing all the possible solutions that they are on the market. I'm really, really happy to hear that.
Are there any limitations on what kind of buildings it doesn't support yet, or any scale, any typology?
Not at all. Well, the curved stuff, we're not doing that. The wall details and church and so on, of course, the complex construction, the automation level of automation is going to decrease compared to the actual effort needed to produce the model. But there are no limitations when it comes to the type of building. That was also one of our intentions from the beginning. We are going to want to help industry to go digital, then we need to be able to support any type of the building. And also, once you start working with a variety from the perspective of machine learning, that's good.
For people watching or listening, what's the best time to reach out to you? At what project stage?
So working with AC, either early stage design conversion before you actually start developing design in Revit, that's one case. From the AC, the most typical case is a refurb project capturing the actual state of the building, usually from point cloud scans where data like accuracy is needed. And then from the perspective of building owners, usually CAFM implement, I would say those are the three most typical scenarios.
Any type of people you like to partner with to grow?
Well, yeah, I mean, consultants within the AC, people who are there working with the customers, whoever is CAFM systems and twin platforms, whoever is there and is selling a full, like complete solution to the client. Architects, they are selling refurbishment projects. That's a complete solution that actually the end user or building owner who pays the final price is buying. They're not buying BIM. They're not interested in BIM. That's the mean that we are using it to be able to deliver that project that they are actually buying. So whoever is facing the end client with whatever offering they have that can be supported with building data captured in a BIM format, it's definitely of interest for us.
God. It's December 31st, 2025. What's the stage of Bimify? What are we looking at?
Then I think point cloud is going to be at the same level as what I show you now, because it's an early stage, just walls, slabs, windows, doors, like what the whole industry is doing. That's an easy part to get, but moving from there, that's a hard part that we are at right now. And then also the next offering is going to be in place, focused on building owners. I don't want to discover too much. It might be another episode for that, but I think that's going to be a kill. That's going to be a killer, because going digital is one thing. Staying digital is a completely new process. How you say, challenge. And I think we have a really nice stuff in place to support even the rest of the journey.
Exciting things coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Piece of advice for people who want to build products like yours. What are the skills they need to learn coming out of uni?
I would say like the core skill you need is like it's not a tech skill, it's not industry related. You really need to be stubborn, and you really need to be prepared how long the journey is going to be. I mean, building startups from the beginning in any industry, it's painful, and you need to have the guts, and you need to be stubborn to get through all those painful phases. Building a startup within our industry is probably 3 times harder. So be prepared for that. And I think that's the rest is easy to solve. If you have that, then you have the motivation to learn the new stuff. If you have some technical background that can help you, like I had machine learning, that's very helpful, but it's easy to learn that stuff. There is so much content available. There is LLMs that can help you like to speed that part of the journey, so you can easily learn stuff as long as you have the motivation. But staying motivated for a couple of years until you really break and find a product market fit, I think that's the core skill you need to have.
Who are your role models? Can be from our industry, outside industry.
Well, it's maybe not the right time politically to say that, but Elon has done some really good stuff. I think what uh, I admire him for simplifying the vision and the picture of the world that he saw in front of him with the electric cars. I think that's what we need. That's what the world is missing. People are focusing maybe too much on the processes and the smaller like smaller parts of the problem, but focusing on the bigger picture and picturing how you want the world to look like once you're done with your vision, simplifying that and getting everyone to get hooked on that and really understand. I think he is definitely really good at that. The next one, this phase from reading the books from different. It was a while ago. I have two kids, one boy and Bimify, so I don't have that much time to read it. But let's see, one more. I think also, let's say Obama, also because of the same thing. The guy had a vision, and he could simplify how he presented that vision, and everyone could easily consume that and believe in that. That's what I think is very important.
Can you give us an overview how a day in your life looks like and how a week?
Oh yeah, especially right now because I have a twin pregnancy at home, 6 months, so it's really packed days. So I usually get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I spend some time with my kid until 8 o'clock, leave him at the kindergarten, and then I work until 4:30. Then I pick him up. Put him to bed around 7 o'clock, and then I continue working. And that can be sometimes until 11, 12, or it can be in the middle of the night. And then Wednesdays, after putting him to bed, that's a date night, yeah, to catch up with my wife. But it's very monotone, every single day.
Got it. Anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you like to share your opinion or thoughts?
No, not actually. Just to point out that, like, from following you, being a part of the group that you organize, from the industry experts and all the innovation that is coming up, I think like it's interesting that now the tech development is going much faster, and I think the market is getting really overcrowded. As I think whoever is like need to give credits to us because, of course, I trust in Bimify, but also from what I see, I think the combination of people and machines is going to be a killer solution going onward. Because there are so many machines coming up that solve just small parts of the problem, but people, the buyers want to get the headache out of them. They don't want to build tech-savvy teams who are going to sit down and research and build new workflows and that need to be reiterated every single year because the innovation is happening at that speed. They want to buy a peace of mind. So I think going forward, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of solution is going to win. I strongly believe a combination of machine and people, and using those two components, offering a comprehensive solution that is plug and play. I think that's going to be the key.
Yeah, you hit on point. With this, all automations have like consultants or service providers have could do like highly productivized service where like most of their tasks automated and then human can do QA/QC and that gives the client like reliable and faster service, like a win-win.
And that's definitely true. And I'm also thinking that, I mean, considering also if you follow all the industry people that you're in contact with on LinkedIn, there are so many internal departments now that just got their like hands full of different services and solutions. So they started building their own because it's much easier. If you are a skilled architect and really techie and you've been working in Dynamo and scripting a little bit, now with all the LLMs, it's much easier for you to build solutions that you otherwise pay $199 or whatever per month, because now you can build that within a week and build it completely accommodated to your own needs. So I think, yeah, definitely a combination. And you cannot eliminate people from most of the processes in our industry. And I think that's also why our industry is so under digitalized, because people are trying to help industry to go digital only with digital products. But you cannot do that. You cannot exclude people from the equation. Once you start including the people, we usually say, at least in prop tech, 30% of the change, technology is just 30% of the change, 70% is change management. And once people really start taking that into equation and putting a lot of effort in how to include people, either your partners, or how you onboard the clients, people in this process, I think that's very important.
It was lovely hosting you. For people who want to contact you, what's the best way to reach out?
Just reach out on LinkedIn. I'm quite active there, and we'll take it from there.
Have a great rest of your day, Alexander.
Thank you, Mayur.